silent giant entertainment.
Are you sure you know? We're having so much fun in here. Poco's been a long time. I got the real up close personal without you. You all don't know what I know, but you know that's okay because there's some things only Kool-Aid should know.
Right.
No, they're really, to me, it's important. Oh, first off, Poco Peros Locos, Big Bad Network, your girl Kool-Aid holding it down. You know how I do up close and personal. Let you know who I got in here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Downer.
That's
James
right.
Williams. How you going, fam bam?
Okay, so let me tell you the story of Downer before I tell you what I was going to tell you. So here's the story of how Downer came into my life. I was at the grocery store with the kids, and Baby Bash was demon dialing me. And I love Bishi. That's my dude. That's my brother.
He is.
And my loved one. But he's not the type to demon dial. And he calls me, and I call Dub, and I'm like, Dub, is Bash okay? Because I had the kids screaming and didn't want to call him back at the point they were acting really, really bad. And Dub said, yeah, he wants you to check out this song. Hit him up. So I call Bash, and I think Dub and Bash are like playing this trick on me, like just clowning because I'm, at home with the kids, not being able to be creative like they are. And I hear this song, and I'm like, I'm just laughing and shaking my head. This is just fresh, like everything about it, like the reality to it, the story to it, the flow to it, the passion to it, whatever. And I'm like, is this for real? And Bash is like, yeah, I talked to the homeboy, hit me up on Facebook. And he's like, you're kidding me. You've never heard it, Kool-Aid. And Bash was like, I can't believe you hadn't heard it. I was calling you for you and Dub for the scoop on it. And I was like, never heard it. And so I was super excited to have you in here.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on for you right now. Because it's a
I came from the kitchen. I literally came from the kitchen. I had gotten into an argument with my wife, and I don't know. I just went to my sister's house, and she said, "You know what? Why don't you play that song Suga Boom Boom? Why don't you spit it for the family? You know what I mean? Because I've only heard you sing it, and nobody else in the family's heard you sing it. So I want you to sing it." So I'm like, "All right." She goes, "But before you do that, would you mind putting Lala on the hook?" And I'm like,
which is your niece?
Which is my niece, and she's 16 years old, I believe. Yeah, she was 16 at the time. She's still 16, yeah. And she knocked it out the park, Kool-Aid. I mean, it gave me goosebumps when she sang it, and I was like, oh, let's do this. And it was just a thing to where we were just gonna play around. I did the beat first on the refrigerator. I did it on the refrigerator, and then we did the beat. So we did the video of the beat. We got the audio on that, and then we did vocals. We did like 3 layovers of vocals so it could be a little bit louder. And the final cut was we were still singing with our vocals with that beat, and she posted it on Facebook, and it just blew up. Within 2 months, I was at 2 million views. It was crazy.
Was the first version put up the version of just you behind the family post?
No, that was actually the second version. The first version I put up was me and my niece at the counter.
So that's the one where you both are sitting in the chairs facing each other?
And I had another version I had put out on YouTube on this dude's page that I was living with at the time, and it was just me at the desk. And that's what really, when I put it out there, I was like, see, nobody's really feeling that song, so I'm not really gonna trip on it until my sister told me, like, hey man, why don't you sing it again? And then she put it on Facebook, and it just blew. It's God's good. I mean, honestly.
Well, and when you go, for anybody who hasn't heard it, Google the song Suga Boom Boom Downer. It's ridiculous. I love it.
It's just, it talks about real life situations. I'm sure everybody known or has known somebody that's been involved in that, whether it's personally involved or just they know of a person that's been involved in that and they know the struggles of it. And
well, I know a few artists that were deep into it, and I noticed the ones who openly share their story and are honest, for some reason it's easier to stay clean because
it is.
You're held to the honesty, like versus the hidden demon.
Well, there's a downfall to that too, because I'll put it out there right now, because I'm sure I had some haters out there in Bakersfield that want to put my business out there. I was a meth head. I was a heroin addict for a long time, for 20-something years. And isn't meth addiction is like the hardest drug addiction to break, right? I would say heroin is the hardest, because the heroin takes over your whole body. Meth just is more of a mind thing, you know what I mean? You do get the irritability and stuff like that, but heroin actually takes a hold of your body and puts it through changes to where you can't eat, you're in violent shakes. I mean, it got a hold of you. You're dancing with the devil when you mess with heroin. So, I mean, that's where that song comes in. But as I was saying, I had got hooked on some other things when I got out of prison because I was working the oil fields and I like to smoke my weed, you know what I mean? I do. And there was a synthetic weed out there called Spice. And to anybody that's even messing with that stuff right now, it's dangerous. It's actually has heroin in it. The stuff that they make heroin with, it has heroin in it, as well as meth. And I was on that for 3 years. 3 years when I got out of prison.
Do you feel like when you're a recovering addict, do you think that like weed can be a gateway drug and take you other places, or do you feel like?
Well, I wasn't smoking my weed because I was working, so I know the drug tests and stuff like that my job has required, so I wasn't really smoking my weed. This was just a way for me to enjoy the weed type of high without getting caught up at my job, which was false propaganda. I just sold myself a dream, and it was wrong because I did get caught up at my job, and the come down on that is both heroin and meth together.
You know, I know there's people out there, youngsters that are watching that are probably some of the ones who hit you up on Facebook with the Suga Boom Boom. The thing that's dope about Suga Boom Boom that I noticed the audience, because of your storytelling capability, your honesty, the sincerity you hear in the voice, your audience just isn't, you know, a Chicano rap audience or a hip hop audience. No. You've got a very wide yes. audience that you're speaking to. And I feel like part of it is musically what you laid out is dope. It's dope. Like somebody could not be an addict and feel like, I want to get down with this. Like, you know, the kids want to get down with it because it's fun. You see them putting up their videos and I want to get down with it, you know, not being part of that story because it's fun. But for the people that are part of that story, how can you suggest, as far as getting the strength to break that chain or go in a direction?
One day at a time. Don't think too much ahead. Don't think, wow, you know, you just got to really just evaluate yourself every day. You know, am I strong today to go out there and fight the temptations? And then if you're not, I mean, I look to God. I mean, I do. I look to the Lord because I feel like He gives me my strength. And I've sat there and I've struggled with this. And I'll tell anybody, you have to come to the realization that, you know what, this is not the life for me. I don't want this no more, because there's not a clinic out there. There's not doctors that's going to help you. It's when you're ready to be done with it, you'll be done with it, you know. And some people are just not ready to be done with it, you know. And I've had 2 uncles that die from that, and they weren't ready to be done with it, and that's where they're at right now. I'm ready to be done with it, and I'm here to tell you that.
That's dope. Now, I'm sorry, you know, if I seem a little hard and bitchy. It's like, like for a family member on the outside or somebody on the outside, like you're saying you're ready to be done with it. But what about a family member or a friend who wants to be there and help open the gate for their friend or family member to kind of...
Don't shut them out. That's the worst thing you could do. And I've had that done to me as well. You know, tough love is good to a point. But if that person is not feeling like their family is willing to help them in this recovery, then they don't have no go. They don't have no strive to go and do that. They're just like, well, I'm already a loser to my family. I may as well stay a loser and keep getting high. Don't shut them out. Don't turn your back on them. They're not low lifes. They're people with sickness. It's a sickness. I mean, it's a disease. You get hooked on something, and okay, you tried it for the first time. You tried heroin for a couple times. After that, your body wants it. So now you're just like when I was doing it, I wasn't even getting high. I was just doing my thing just to get well. You know, it wasn't. And I was feeling the same thing. I didn't want to get the sickness no more. I guess it comes from what type of family you come from. I mean, if you're around it, if your family's around it and they're doing it, obviously they're not going to trip on you doing it because they're doing it. You know what I mean? But if, like for my sister, she's always been there, and she really helped me out a lot as far as putting a grasp on my life and like, look, man, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? She's seen me in and out of prison. She's seen me in the dope game, and I don't want to put her through that. And I see all she's done for me. I just think that you just got to stick by that person and help them through it as best way you can. I mean, honestly,
What
don't
about
enable
what
them.
about if somebody's in denial? Like if there's no drug issue, we don't have anything. Where is the line? How can you open them up to, you have a problem. This isn't normal. Like how can somebody really help somebody they care about? Not that you have all the answers.
I don't.
I'm sorry
and, no,
that
it's
I'm
all
trying
right.
to make.
It's
But
all
like
right.
these are serious. This is.
Yeah, it is serious because you got to figure like 80%
personal
of
to me,
America
too.
is
Yeah, it's
hooked
personal
on,
to me, too.
and it's like all I could say is, and this is what I just from my own. I had to hit rock bottom. It took me prison time to really sit there and think about what I want to do with my life. Do I really want to go back out there and do dope again? Do I really want to do that? Is this going to be a revolving door? Do I want to sit there and watch my kids grow up through pictures, which I did, you know what I mean? And it's got to be a personal change. It's got to be a personal change because there's nothing that you can tell me, nothing that E-Dub can tell me, anybody can tell me that's going to change me until I want to change. It's got to be a personal choice within yourself. That's what I took it as, and that's how I did it.
That's very
and
powerful.
every day, I look at myself and I'm like, all right, today's another day. You're good. Do you want to get high? There's probably a little percentage of you that does, but the bigger percentage of me is like, no, I'm good right now. I like how I'm living. I like looking healthy. I don't like looking how I was looking when I was high. I'm pretty sure other people didn't like that either.
Mm-hmm.
And my life is good
Could you
now.
see it while you were high? Could you see
No.
how you were looking?
No. But I see it through pictures. Like my old pictures that my sister will show me. I'm like, oh man, are you serious? Put that away. I don't even know why you have that up. You know what I mean? But she's like, yeah, this is how you looked.
And how old are your kids now?
My daughter, Destiny, is 19. And this is why it hits close to me. I'm gonna get emotional right now because she's hooked. She's hooked. And I just had her at my house last night, and I just want her to do good. I don't want her to follow my footsteps because I know where it leads. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
But
Do you think that it opens your credibility factor with your baby, opens up more? Like, how does she feel about the fact that, like, my dad's like a legit artist right now?
I try to tell her, I said, look, man, if you want to, this will only work with us like this, it's if you got to get off that, man. I can't do it with you on it. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I don't have an answer. I wish I can get inside of her brain and think of what it is that's going on inside of her brain to make her want to do the things she does. But I guess the apple don't fall far from the tree because, that's all she's seen her whole life. Since she was 5, because I went away when she was 5. But even at that, even kids, I can still remember stuff when I was 5 years old. I really can. And I know she's seen a lot of things in her life, and then she sees it from her mom, and her mom's still hooked. Her whole, that side of the family is you know what I mean? It's a revolving door, and that's where she wants to be at. I don't think that's where she wants to be at. I just think it's more comfortable for her. It's more easy for somebody to do wrong. It's more easy to go that way than for somebody to do right. You know what I mean? It's always been like that. It's easy for somebody to not help somebody out, opposed to go ahead and lend that helping hand or go ahead and feed that whole. I could just walk by a homeless person and be like, no, it's cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Instead of just reaching out and touching that person, and you don't know what that'll do to that person. Like my song, for instance, I had this. I'm gonna put you on blast right now, girl. Her name is, oh my God, Cassandra. And it touched me. Her story really touched me because she's like my daughter's age, and her mom had got at me. Does not like rap, does not like hip hop. She goes, but you made me a fan with your song because your song, my daughter got out of jail. She was on heroin. I showed her your song, and she's been clean ever since that. That right there is worth everything. That right there. And then she came to my show in Bakersfield at Jerry's Pizza, gave me a big old hug, busted some tears. And I'm just proud of her. She's doing very good. I still keep in contact with her to this day, and she's doing very good for herself. She has a job, and that's good to know that my song touched someone like that to do that, if you know what I mean?
Well, I think you've answered the question as far as, a big part of the reason, too, that I wanted, number one, to share your story, because, I have, like, a lot of youngsters. Like, I met a really dope youngster last week who didn't have any music, didn't record it, felt like he couldn't have anything or get anything. And I used you as an example. And I was like, look, the cat that I just discovered through Baby Bash, he was sitting at a table using his fists, and he did it. And he made a buzz for himself, created a lane for himself. You can do it. But I think you answered my questions, and a big thing I wanted to hit with you, just because of the problem with addiction within our communities. And I think it goes back to a lot of what we've been talking about in our up close and personals. It's super, super important. It's funny when I get nervous. I start doing this when I'm hitting something I get nervous about or a little insecure about. But the bottom line is, number one, you have to find it within yourself. And that's what you did. And I think that's a huge message for people who are out there, that even if you're denying it to your family and your people around you, you have to find it within yourself. You have to fix it. But I think as far as you go, I go, or other people go in entertainment, or that can actually motivate, it's in role modeling.
Yes.
So the best thing for your situation and for your personal situation and what you talked about has hurt, which it can now help because you've turned over the leaf, is the role modeling. And I think as humans, that's the best we can do for everybody, is teaching and role modeling.
Exactly. If you can't say it, I mean, more or less, if you say it, you better walk the walk with it too. And that's why I feel so strongly. I'm thank God for my brother, man, because when I was on my spice kick, I could see the whole attitude in him change. My sister, my niece, Lala, everybody just wanted to be away from me. And this was when all this was going on. All this music was going on. And it got to the point where nobody wanted to be around me. And I would tell him, wait, what's wrong? He'd be like, man, I know what you're doing, bro, and why? And he's been a real backbone to me. And so is my sister and my niece, because that kind of tough love to where, look, man, we know what you're doing. We don't like it. So we're gonna turn our shoulder on you. We're not gonna kick you out to the streets, but we're gonna show you that this we don't approve of what you're doing, and you need to get right. And just a little bit of that, with a flashback of my old life, yeah, that was a wrap.
So the we're here mentality, we're here, but we're not messing with you right now.
Exactly. We're here. We love you, but right now we don't really like you.
Okay, so before we wrap this up and before I talk about the future of you as an artist, because I do want to hit that a little bit, what are some key signs that, because, like a lot of people who are in trouble, they don't like to hear it from their loved ones. They don't want to hear it from their loved ones. They're in denial. What are some key signs for somebody? You were talking about, like, when nobody wants to mess with you. Like, what were your key cues that, I'm slipping? When
your good friends that you call family start to depart from you, that's when you need to be like, there's something wrong here. And when you start adapting to other friends that are so willing to put that pipe in your mouth, to go ahead and put that needle in your arm, that's when you need to be like, hey, you know what? I need to have a reality check right here, because that's not a friend. You know what I mean? You just gotta really pay attention, because it's like, I've hid it from them for a minute. I hid spice for a minute. I'd go out there and I'd take my little hit and I'd be cool, and nobody really tripped until they started really catching on, because they started seeing the signs. My eyes, my fingers would get all brown because I was smoking so much. I mean, I wasn't tripping on how I looked. I mean, these are all signs of, man, this dude used to dress cool. Now there's something going on in that dude's life. There's something going on there, and we need to find out what's up. And that's what my sister, my brother, and my niece did. They found out what was up, and they called me on it. And that's the worst thing an addict wants to hear. They do not want to be called on their misfortunes or their habits. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to hear it, but they called me on it. And thank God that he gave me a calmness to be like, listen to what they're saying, and you're going to be all right. And I did, and I am. You know what I mean?
Dope. Okay, so future music. What's going on? Like, what's the ultimate dream for Down3r? I mean, what do you do from here? You've got a viral song bubbling right now. I mean, it might just be one of those, just one blessings from God, just one of those little Scooby snacks to remind you you're capable.
Right.
What is your vision to make, like, where do you want to see it go?
As far as it'll go. And I was talking to E-Dub on the phone, and I'm really, really gonna, how do I say this? Because I don't want to toot my own horn. I don't want to do nothing like that to sound any kind of conceit or anything like that. But he gave me a really good compliment. He said that I sound like the modern day Johnny Cash, you know. And honestly, I love Johnny Cash. I always have. He actually does. I mean, he did it from the ground to from the bottom to the top. I mean, that's how he did it.
He was an advocate for the streets,
sure was.
too.
He sure was. And I don't want to be labeled as a gangster rapper because that's not what I want. But I do have those type of lyrics on some of my songs, but I really don't want to push that out on my album because I'm dropping an album this summer, hopefully.
Ain't nobody gonna stop him but himself. It's
That's
the homie
it.
Downer. You know how we do. Poco Peros Locos. Blessings are in the
Peros
streets
Locos.
everywhere, homie. The
That's
Big Bad
right.
Network.
That's right.
I know you were listening in
Ow.
the Pinta.
Oh, you know that all the time. I always listen to you. I even told my boy Stumper. I promised you. We just talked about it last night. He told me, man, because I told him I was coming to you guys' show. And he's like, do you remember when we was in our cell when we listened to Poco Peros Locos and Art LeBeau? I mean, yeah.
That's what Poco Peros Locos and Art LeBeau, nothing like it, homie.
There's nothing like it.
Veterano
I
and
mean that's how
veterano
we
in the
get down.
game.
We're in there. It just brings us back to the streets, man. We loved it.
But
we
Art
love you
LeBeau's
guys.
a little more OG than he's got a few more stripes than I do.
You know what? You guys are climbing. I love you guys. You guys are climbing. I love it.
Thank
you guys are the bomb.